No more, no more, no more, no more, no more crumbs.
It's the Value Journey Podcast with Rhonda Jennifer.
No more crumbs. You are royalty, victorious, God's creation. You've been made for so much more. No more, no more, no more, no more, no more.
Often, from our experiences, we are left to feel unworthy, empty, and questioning if we matter. But with God, He reassures us that we do matter, and we do have tremendous value. Have you been conditioned to devalue yourself? Are you settling for a lifestyle of crumbs? Do you question your purpose and value? The No More Crumbs value messages are derived from the Bible story in Matthew 15:25-28, where a woman believed she was only worthy enough to settle for crumbs and never believed she deserved more. Not until she met Jesus. Jesus encouraged her to want more in her life. And with this woman's acceptance of Jesus' love, she was awakened to want better for her life. From this acknowledgement, Jesus commended her on her faith to accept the new truths about herself. The Value Journey podcast is focused on providing supplemental and suggested tools to help you accept the positive truths about yourself and guide you on how to take action steps to activate your truths. God has designed for us all to live a life that is full and enriching. You deserve victories in your life. You are royalty. You are God's creation. You are valuable. Now join me as we grow together with the Value Journey podcast.
Well, today's guest, I am so thankful for. Kelly Movia from episode 3, Raising Future Leaders, recommended today's guest. He is such a beautiful, beautiful person who has a huge heart, and he dreams audaciously, gifts the world with his knowledge, wisdom, and passion to mentor and to uplift people everywhere he goes. He has done so much work. He is an activist. He's a writer, a storyteller, a poet, a choreographer, a dancer, and the list goes on. And I'm just so honored to have a new special friend and a friend that I'm going to have close to me for the rest of my life. So welcome, Mark. Mark.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Oh, thank you. You look wonderful. You look very happy, and you look beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I had to do it up for you. I had to do, glam.
And I'm so glad we connected. I love your messaging, and I just love the vision that you have. I was fortunate to read your book to start off with, was on love. And you demonstrate love, and you intertwine it in all your work and everything that you do. And you said, love is elusive. Your greatness they adore. Your heart they ignore. Can you please talk more about that?
Yeah, I believe that's called Age 22 in the book. And I wrote about that because, what's really happening and what's so interesting is that I found myself focused so much on my career and so focused on work that when it came down to love, it was not something I could master. And I'm still learning how to master love, both self-love and love of others. What's interesting is that when I wrote, your greatness they adore, but your heart they ignore, it's like people were enamored by my successes. And they were like, oh, you're amazing. You're so great. I'm not into you. Or you're amazing, but we can't date. Or you're amazing, but you're too feminine. Or you're too gender nonconforming. Or you're too gay for me. So it's like they thought I was amazing, but despite all of that, they wouldn't date me.
I'm sorry for that. Sorry you experienced that. I've gone through a lot of heartache and rejection as well. So I'm really sorry that you had to go through that.
It made me stronger, but I will say that it was something, and I wrote this around the time I was 22. That's why it's called Age 22, because I was really frustrated. I was just about to finish college, and it was hard because all my friends were getting married or engaged or pregnant, and here I was still single, and I was so frustrated. I was like, why can't I get this part of my life to kind of develop as nicely as my professional life? And then I realized that you can't rush love, not even the self-love, not even the internal love, because that is a process and a daily decision that you make to love yourself and love other people.
I love that. And I never thought of that. Gave yourself a permission to have your voice and to
Yes.
utilize your voice. And it just inspired me the courage that you demonstrated in exercising your voice. And now you're spreading your voice in so many different platforms. And it's really resonating with people and helping other people that may be rejected. Could you talk more about that?
Yeah, so I launched my podcast, Marking the Path, and it's a wellness podcast about living authentically and blazing your own path in life. What was so fascinating about it is that I get to have real conversations with people about what it means to be yourself. And that's what I love about my life is I get to be authentic. I get to be myself all the time. And that's again a daily choice I make to be real, to be seen, to be heard, to be loved, to be cared for. So yeah, so my podcast is my baby now, and that's my new project, and I'm really happy with it. It's available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. What I love about the podcast so much is that as I'm talking to these guests and these people that I admire, I have such aha moments and I realize things about myself. I had a conversation with Alicia Harris, a poet and slam poet who I'm a big fan of, and she's a good friend of mine. And we had a whole conversation about spirituality and religion, and it comes out soon and powerful because prayer was used against me when I came out as gay in the church. And so I was really afraid to have people pray over me or talk about Christianity with me or be religious. And so what I love about Alicia is that she makes Jesus accessible to all people.
And Jesus is love. Jesus
Yes.
is love. Jesus expresses love in every aspect of his life. He expressed love. And I'm sorry that you experienced that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I think everything happened for a reason. I was really young. I was a teenager. Was really confused about how these people were using God as a way to punish me for being gay and were trying to pray the gay away. And I was like, you can't do that. That's not right. That's not Jesus-like. And so I kind of went into that journey of discovering my faith again. And I left it for a while because I thought if I can't be gay and a Christian, then I won't be Christian. I won't be a follower of Christ.
Right.
And it took me a long time to get comfortable with the notion of prayer again. And I'm reading a book called The 100 Days to Brave, which is all about prayer and devotional thoughts and wisdom based on the Bible. It's not that I'm a full-blown churchgoer again. I think that's gonna take me a while to get there, to go to church physically. But my spirituality has never been stronger than it is now.
You know, that's the beautiful thing about Jesus is that our journey and our path is individual and specific. And Jesus meets us right where we are because he wants a personal connection with us. So
Absolutely.
thank you. I'm glad. I'm glad you're reaching back out to Jesus.
Yeah.
So you also use your voice and activism for social justices and standing up for civil rights and civil justices for the LGBTQ plus community and also for the disenfranchised. Can you share more about that?
Yeah, so my advocacy work really started in high school. I went to Roselle Park School of Fine and Performing Arts in Paterson, New Jersey. So I'm a Jersey boy, for those who don't know. And I led the first ever student walkout to protest the education cuts during my senior year of high school. Then I got to college at William Paterson University, where I studied women's and gender studies. I got really involved on campus with the LGBTQ club and the school newspaper. And so I always used my voice to speak up and speak out, because I knew that there were people out there who were afraid and I wasn't afraid to speak out, right? And so I knew I had to speak out because if not me, then who? If not now, then when, right? So these are all things that I had to realize and think about as I developed my voice. When I spoke at Harvard for the first time, that was a surreal moment. When I spoke at Harvard for the first time, that was a surreal moment because I come from a single mother household. I'm the first generation of my family to go to college, first one to graduate high school. So to speak at Harvard of all places was like really daunting. And I spoke at NYU and then Rutgers and then Montclair and then other schools around the country. And I realized that this little boy from Paterson was using his voice. And I always say your zip code doesn't have to determine your life code, who you will become or how far you will go. And what I realized in that moment was that this little boy from Paterson, New Jersey was using his voice in such a mighty way that it was literally taking me around the country.
Oh, that's such a blessing. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And you are first generation. You always had that tenacity in you. In your book, you demonstrated, mentioned first person to go to college, you grew up in a single parent home, and all these accomplishments that you did. And then you did a therapy writing on Father's Day. So can you talk
Yes.
a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think it's called To My Father in the book. And it's one of the first essays in the book. And I put it early in the book because it wasn't my favorite essay. And I thought maybe I'll take it out. And then, funny enough, so many people resonate with that essay. And it's just a letter I wrote to my father who chose to leave my mother while she was pregnant with me. He chose not to give me his last name. He chose not to be in my life. I spent maybe 1 or 2 summers with him total in my whole life. And those were negative experiences, those weren't positive. My father chose to not be in my life for various reasons. And as I got older, that really hurt me. But as I got older, I tried to reach out to him. I tried to be the mature one. And then I realized, I was like, that song, I Can't Make You Love Me. Adele did a cover of that song, and I love it. But this idea that I couldn't make my father love me. I couldn't force him to see me as a child that he was worthy of caring for. And so I kind of had to let that go. But in that letter, I wrote about how that felt to not have pictures of my father, not to have grown up with someone teaching me how to tie a tie or how to shave or how to throw a ball or how to get a girl. Not that I want a girl, but back then I didn't know I was gay. And so growing up to my father, there's always this void in my life, and I'm still dealing with that today. I'm still learning how to cope and deal with the void of his absence.
Just being vulnerable enough to admit that and even work on it. As we continue to work on our healing, I think that's good. That's healthy that we're acknowledging it and we know we need continual work, and that's growth. That's so much good growth. And
Yeah.
you set the bar high for yourself and for your mentees, and it shows in your work, the writings that you do, but also as a choreographer. You set the bar high, you're compassionate, and you're caring, but that is shown by setting the bar high, by challenging your students to stretch out. Can you talk more about that?
That's a great question. I had a really tough mentor in dance, Erin Pride, and Erin Pride is someone who I really admire. I was her first disabled student that she ever had in a dance setting. She taught me the importance of mentorship and the importance of taking the craft seriously. And so I think you're alluding to a story I talked about in my book about a choreographer's journey, right? This idea of like, I had this student who was in rehearsal with me who was really struggling with body image and her self-esteem, and she wasn't taking the rehearsal process seriously. And I said to her, I was like, either you step up or you need to give up this role in the dance. And it was really tough to have a conversation with her. And I can see she was hurting, and she was hurting because she was trying to be perfect. And perfectionism is a disease of a nation, as Beyonce said in that song, Pretty Hurts. So, we can't be perfect. We're not going to be perfect. And so I try to teach my mentees that imperfections are okay. Working hard is okay. Doing your best is okay. And it's funny because, I'm in this reckoning. COVID-19 has made me reckon with the fact that dance is no longer a big part of my life. Even though I work full time in a dance company, I'm not feeling as fulfilled. And I realized it's because it's time to move on. So after 12 years of working within dance, I'm ready to move on and do other things. And that's because COVID-19 has made me realize life is too short to do things that don't fulfill you anymore.
And it's so good you recognize when that season of your life is expired, and I'm glad you're continually looking forward onto new adventures and new projects. And I know you're going to bless the world with something amazing. So
Thank you.
could you show us your book? There was another one. I love this one. Yes,
Okay.
this one. And it's dreaming. And I totally believe in dreaming because that gives us hope, and it takes us out of our current space and environment and gives us greater aspect to move forward. So you mentioned in your book, Making My Own Path, an inner city dreamer. The dream deferred sits idle like a neighbor grandmother. She waits on the porch to greet children returning home from school. And when you were 17, you had dreamt of starting your own choreography dance troupe. You held on to that dream despite the negative feedback or doubt, and then you did it. Can you talk more about it?
I started Marked Dance Project at 17 years old, becoming the youngest person in the United States to artistically direct and found a physically integrated dance company for disabled and non-disabled dancers. And I share that because at the time I didn't know I was making history. I did it because it was needed to be done. Because in New Jersey, there was no company like mine that was doing that work of disability in dance. And that led me to where I'm at today, working for Access Dance Company, the nation's leading integrated company in the country. And I realized, as much as I just said that my love of dance is changing and my life is changing, dance played a huge role in my development. It taught me discipline. It taught me focus. It taught me how to be a leader. Running my own company taught me that. And I did that for 10 years before I dissolved the company and moved on to California.
Bravo, bravo.
Thank you.
I'm a big proponent of journaling, and then you mentioned that that's important to you as well. Can you explain journaling and then how it helped you break generational curses?
I just started more disciplined gratitude journal, which is I write 3 things I'm grateful for each day at the end of the day at night. And lately, when my mental health is declining and I'm stressed out, I find myself not writing in the journal. And my therapist said something really powerful. She said, it's like a muscle you have to exercise. If you don't practice gratitude, it gets dusty. So this notion that if you don't practice being grateful, it makes it more difficult to navigate life and to endure the hardships that come along with not practicing gratitude. And so that's one of the things I do. Journaling is really important to me. I had to do it a lot in college. That's in my major, women's and gender studies, and I had to do a lot of reading journals. And I write journals, and I write morning reflections, and it's so important for me to process my feelings and my thoughts. And I do that by writing. And you talked about generational curses or breaking generational cycles. And I've done that a lot through my writing, being vocal about being a single mother child, being from a broken home, living below poverty threshold, being the first one to go to college, have a career. And when I realized I did it for my niece. I have a niece. She's turning 18 on Christmas. She's a Christmas baby. And everything I did in my life, starting from when I started the dance company, was for her. It's so that I can break the cycles in our families so that she can go to college, so she can have a career, so she can be successful, so she can thrive. But first, she has to see a possibility model. She has to see someone show her what's possible when you don't give up. So that's what I mean when I talk about writing and dancing and choreographing and speaking and podcasting. It's about setting a possibility model for my niece. She's the apple of my eye. She's amazing.
And you are the model. You are. I really appreciate
Thank you.
Did a piece on unmasking. And I know you're transitioning from your choreography, but could you tell us about unmasking and also Our America, those two pieces?
Yeah. Did you find videos of those pieces?
I saw something. I saw little excerpts, and then I think
Oh,
your book as well. You
I
mentioned.
did. Yeah. I'm so impressed by your research. The unmasking I created on a ballet studio, my first ballet studio commission. And it was amazing. But that was the story of a student who was not performing at her best. And that was a really interesting challenge. But the unmasking, I created the unmasking because it was about a year or two after I almost died of alcohol poisoning, because I had a mask on. For a long time, although I'm very confident now and very grateful to be living in the skin, for a long time, I tried to please everyone. I tried to become whoever anyone wanted me to be so they would like me. And that nearly cost me my life. So when that happened, it was a wake-up call. I hit rock bottom. There hasn't been a rock bottom like that rock bottom in a long time. And so when that happened, I realized, I'm not gonna curse, take off your freaking mask and reveal who you truly are. And it wasn't until I did that, until I did that unmasking of myself, that my career took off. Right? So authenticity is not just a choice, it's freedom. And that piece, The Unmasking, is all about that. So they all wear masks in that piece, and then at the end, the soloist takes off her mask and she reveals her face. So yeah, that's what that piece is about. Thank you. And then Our America, um, it was about it was around the time that Trayvon Martin had been killed. All these murders have been happening by police officers and vigilantes and white supremacists. And so they all wear hoodies in this piece. And it was about gun violence. I lost my brother to gun violence. He was shot and killed at 22.
I'm so sorry. So sorry.
Yeah. And so I know firsthand what gun violence can do to a family
Yes.
because I experienced it. And no one deserves that level of grief. No one deserves that level of violence to enter their lives. And so Our America's exploration and a critique of the American problem that we have with gun violence in our country.
Brilliant. So brilliant.
Thank you.
Then you also shared that you have excerpts on crumbs. I just
Yes.
talk more about your book, freely talk about it, even though I pulled out some points, and also your other writings, please.
Yeah, so my book, Drafts, an imperfect collection of writing, is available on Amazon. It's a collection of 15 years worth of writing in one book. So what you may notice in the writing is that the voice changes from piece to piece. That's because I progressed. I was a teenager when I started writing this book, and then I was a young adult when I finished publishing it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, um, so it's a collection of poetry and essays, of writings that I've written throughout the last 15 years of my life. And I wrote a piece the year I published this book about my first love. And there's a lot of pieces about my first love in this book. I'm not going to name him because he's a shy person, but he's a very influential person in my life. And until this day, we're still connected. And he has a big part of my heart. And I wrote this piece one day out of frustration because he pissed me off. And I want to read it if that's okay with you.
Yes,
Is that okay with you?
yes, please.
And when I heard the name of your podcast, I was like, oh, this is perfect. I have to read it.
Good.
Yeah, and so I wrote this piece. This was the last piece I wrote before the book was published. And it was something that resonated with people of all genders, of all sexualities, of all experiences. It's universal. You know, we all know what it feels like to be given crumbs when you're worthy of a whole damn meal. So I'm going to read crumbs from my book. I have been operating from a space of hunger. So hungry, in fact, that I have been accepting mere crumbs as a whole meal. Feasting on the potential of the crumbs fulfilling me in ways they were never intended to. I'm tired of feeling hungry all the time. Hungry for love, joy, and meaningful connections, and accepting versions of these things that aren't intended to sustain me. Some people will drop crumbs on the ground just to be able to keep you around. The truth is, they don't care enough about you to provide you with what you are hungriest for. They half-ass love you, they half-ass pretend to care, they half-ass believe in you. There comes a point when you get tired of half-ass people and half-ass meals. For too long, I made entrees out of crumbs. I swallowed every crumb alongside my dignity, pride, and self-respect. Y'all, I begged, cried, and yelled with my arms stretched out before me, with my palms up, and waiting to see if he would provide me with the sustenance I needed. He handed me a crumb and told me to be grateful. Whenever I dared to want more, whenever I got too needy, he pulled his hand away. It was intended to keep me in line. I had given him more power than he was worthy of having. I allowed him to deprive me of my most basic needs, all in the name of love. I am worthy of a whole fucking meal. I am worthy of being fed in ways that lift me up and enhance my life. Today I'm making a decision to sweep away the crumbs and realize my own strength. For anyone who is struggling to let go of the hand that feeds you crumbs, know that there's someone out there who will provide you with a gourmet meal. There's someone out there for you, for every one of us, and we don't have to settle for crumbs.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
You are amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you for sharing that. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. With your work, what are the next aspirations are you planning to embark on?
I have the podcast, which is relatively new, so that's my big project right now, my focus. I want to produce multiple seasons. So, as you know, podcasting is hard, harder than I thought it was going to be. And so I'm very fortunate to have a team of people who help me and make it happen. And so that's my focus, to really talk and share stories. I believe stories are the human connection, human connecting or connector. Dr. Brene Brown says, stories are just data with a soul. And I realized that storytelling is a big part of who I am. And so I want to continue doing that in whatever facet I can. So right now it's podcasting. I'm also trying to transition into education work again. I used to work in higher ed. So I'm trying to go back into higher ed as a student advisor or coach. I'm currently pursuing grad school. I just applied for a program
And
for life coaching. I'm hoping to start grad school soon, and I'm working on my memoir, Crippled but Not Broken.
oh, I can't wait. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it'll be a while, but it'll come out soon.
Good. Can you share just maybe one or two of the episodes that you had on your podcast for the audience?
Yeah, so one of my guests, Louis Ortiz Fonseca, is an Afro queer Latinx Boricua who also lost his brother to gun violence at the age of 22. And he is a queer storyteller, historian, visionary, HIV positive activist, and queer father. And he's episode 3 in my podcast, which is available now on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And I cried for like 10 minutes straight during that interview. I was just bawling my eyes out. And of course, the audience don't see that because it's a podcast, but I was crying. And I was just like, you're amazing. And so he shows me that if I ever want to be a father one day, despite not having a father, I can be a father. And I'll be a damn good
You
father.
sure will. Yes, you will. Yes.
Yeah. So I don't want kids though. But if I ever wanted kids, I know I would be a good
You're
father.
good.
Yeah, thank you. And so, one of the things so that episode really resonates with me, and we go in, like we go deep. The other episode I talked about earlier today, was the episode that's going to be called "The Path of a Christian" with Alicia Harris. And Alicia Harris is well known in the poet community and the slam poetry community. She is such a fierce lover of Christ that she makes me want to love Christ more. Like when you meet people in your life who just love Jesus or love their faith so much, it inspires you to dig deeper into your faith, into your calling. And so those 2 episodes really stand out to me so far.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to listen.
Yeah.
Oh, Mark, I so appreciate you and your wealth of knowledge and your passion and you're generous with your heart is what the world needs. And we need more of your
Thank you.
work and we need more of your expression of love. And I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity to meet you and have
Yeah.
life.
Yes. We're friends now. Whether you know that or not, we're connected. Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. And I will share all your information and how to connect with you. And do you have a link for donations or how anyone can help you or volunteer?
Yeah. So if you go on my website, marktravisrivera.com, there is I believe I haven't checked my website in a second, but there is the podcast episodes. There's the different things that we're working on, that I'm involved with, my writing, my book, my blog. And so there's also an opportunity to donate through my fiscal sponsor for my dance company, well, my dance projects, but that's kind of on hold right now because of COVID-19. But if anyone wants to connect with me, social media and my website is the best way to reach me.
Fantastic. And anything else you want to share with the audience before we close?
I want to thank you, Rhonda, for all that you do to connect people and bring people together. No More Crumbs is such a powerful reminder that we are greater and worthy of more. And you're doing that work. So thank you.
Mark, that means so much to me. Thank you.
Yes, of
Thank you so
course.
much.
Thank you.
Virtually hug you.
Yes.
Can't wait till we can meet each other in person.
So we'll try to connect and we'll do coffee or something.
I would love that, please.
Yes. Great.
Well, thank you everyone for just enjoying Mark Travis. He is such an amazing person and you can glean so much from him. So please connect with him as soon as possible. And until next time, I'm Rhonda Jennifer. Thank you.